Hi, Pearl and Onyx. It's Nona here. I'm in my comfy chair, and let me get more comfortable here. And I just finished doing all my yard work, so I came inside and I would like to read you guys this new book. It's called Around the World Right Now, and it's about what's happening during a certain hour in the whole world. I heard an interview of the author, and it sounded like a book I thought you guys would like, so I went ahead and bought it for you guys. And I'll be mailing it to you tomorrow, so you'll get it and you can read along with me, okay? Around the World Right Now. There's kind of a glare, isn't there? I don't know if that's any worse or any better. Okay. So, let's see. Is that any better? You can see my wine shrine in the background now. Okay. There are 24 hours in a day, and in the 24 different time zones all around the world, each and every one of them is happening right now. So whatever time it is where you are in Juneau, it's 4 hours later in the day for me here in Michigan. Isn't that weird? Okay, so here we go. At 6 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco, California, people wake up to the clickety-clack of the cable car on its way to Fisherman's Wharf. And somewhere in the world, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, an artist sits in front of his easel to paint the early morning sunlight shining down on the beautiful adobe buildings in the plaza. And somewhere in the world, I've never read this before, so I'm reading it for the first time too. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. In New Orleans, Louisiana, people sip coffee with chicory and eat beignets for breakfast at Café du Monde, near the banks of the mighty Mississippi, as jazz musicians play. Oh, aren't these funny little people? Can you see them in there? Are you following along in your book? And somewhere in the world, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. In New York, New York, the streets of Times Square are crowded with people racing to and fro as the workday begins. Would you want to go to a city that big? That's way bigger than Juneau. Look how many people, they're everywhere. And somewhere in the world, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. In Halifax, Nova Scotia, boats come and go from Fisherman's Cove, taking people out into the Atlantic Ocean for fishing or whale watching. You guys have whales in Alaska too. And Nova Scotia is way on the other side of the continent. And somewhere in the world, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. In Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, a girl from Ipanema goes walking on a beach crowded with sunbathers, vendors, and futevoli players to the sounds of bossa nova music. Oh my goodness. That's a nice beach they've got down there, isn't it? And somewhere in the world, it's 12 o'clock noon. What do we do at noon? Is that what time you eat lunch? In the South Sandwich Islands in the southern Atlantic Ocean, nobody is having sandwiches for lunch because nobody lives there except the volcanoes blowing steady streams of smoke until the next big eruption. Look at these penguins. Oh my gosh, aren't they funny? And somewhere in the world, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. In Greenland, an Inuit boy is happily training his first pack of dogs to work together to pull a heavy sled. Oh my gosh, that's another thing you have in Alaska is sled dogs. That's crazy. I didn't know they were somewhere else in the world too. And somewhere in the world, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In London, England, children on a class trip begin queuing up to feed the pelicans in St. James's Park as Big Ben chimes the hour. See, Big Ben is that clock right there, and every hour you can hear the great big chimes, and it tells you what time it is. You just count the chimes, and then you know what time it is on Big Ben. And somewhere in the world, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In Rome, Italy, the eternal city, Italian shopkeepers head home for their afternoon rest as tourists eat gelato and toss 3 coins into the Trevi fountain. That is totally true. The stores close every afternoon in Italy because people go home and take a nap. Then they come back out and they open again. And somewhere in the world, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. In Cape Town, South Africa, children stop skipping rope to look up at the rainbow that has just appeared over Table Mountain. Well, isn't that funny? Look at Table Mountain. It's just a great big flat mountain. You guys have lots of mountains up in Alaska too, don't you? But your mountains aren't flat. They're very pointy and rounded. And somewhere in the world, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. In Madagascar, a large island off the east coast of Africa, along the avenue of the baobabs, a playful lemur decides to join a family's picnic. I should have probably read this before I read it out loud. And somewhere in the world, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. In Dubai, along the Persian Gulf, where it is still too hot to be outside, people gaze from the windows of the top floor of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, to look down on the beautiful city in the sand. Imagine being in the tallest building in the whole world. And somewhere in the world, it's 7 o'clock in the evening. In Agra, India, the last visitors of the day take one more picture before leaving the Taj Mahal. See the Taj Mahal? Isn't it fancy? Funny roof, isn't it? And somewhere in the world, it's 8 o'clock in the evening. In Myanmar, Burma, a peaceful yogi practices his poses as the sun sets over the temples. Can you sit like that? Can you do that yoga? I bet you can. And somewhere in the world, it's 9 o'clock at night. In Bangkok, Thailand, traditional dancers entertain audiences at the Royal Theatre. Aren't they wearing fancy little dresses? Look at their shoulders. They've got little curly cues on their shoulders. And look at their hats. Their hats are crazy. They look like funnels from the kitchen. And somewhere in the world, it's 10 o'clock at night. Is that past your bedtime? Near Beijing, China, campers settle down for the night near the Great Wall of China. See the Great Wall of China? It's just a wall out in the wilderness, outside. Somebody built a great big wall. Miles and miles long. You can walk on it even. And somewhere in the world, it's 11 o'clock at night. In Tokyo, Japan, people take a late night stroll along the Ginza under the blaze of the neon lights. I don't know if I'd want to go walking around that late at night. I think I'd rather be tucked into my bed. And somewhere in the world, it's 12 o'clock midnight. Oh my gosh. In Sydney, Australia, the night watchman locks up the Sydney Opera House after another exciting performance. Ooh, that sounds fun. And somewhere in the world, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. In Vladivostok, Russia, the Trans-Siberian Railway pulls into the station at the end of its 5,772-mile-long journey from Moscow. Oh my gosh, what a humongous country they have over there. They're on a train. They even have a little vase of flowers right in the train with them. And somewhere in the world, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. At the South Pole Station in Antarctica, Scientists are busy studying the land, wind, and sky from the coldest place on Earth. Oh, I don't know about you, but I don't want to go to the coldest place on Earth. I'm plenty chilly right here in Michigan. And somewhere in the world, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Deep in the Pacific Ocean, a baby humpback whale is born. Oh my gosh. If you look really close, you can see the mama and baby whale right there. See if you can find them on your book page when you get the book. And somewhere in the world, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. On the north shore of Oahu, Hawaii, an early morning surfer leaves her house with her board to meet up with the rest of the dawn patrol to catch the waves before going to work. Oh my goodness. 4 o'clock in the morning and she goes out surfing. Then she has to come back, take a shower, and get ready and go to work. That's crazy surfing right there. And somewhere in the world, oh, where are we going to go? It's 5 o'clock in the morning in Anchorage, Alaska. A lonely moose walks down a quiet street before the town awakens. I don't know if that one's true or not. Maybe you can verify it. And somewhere in the world, it's still 6 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco, California. There are 24 hours in a day, and in every minute of every hour of every day, somewhere in the world, something wonderful is happening. Isn't that fun? Oh my goodness. And then there's some activities that you can do here in the back of the book. So look those over with your daddy and see if there's something that you guys could do. Well, I hope you like that story. And I hope that makes you feel like you want to travel a bit when you get a little bit older. Maybe we can go on some trips together. Have a good day. Be good for your daddy. Love you girls. I'll see you later. Bye.